Hello, I'm excited to be here with Daniel Pacheco from Shell. We are at the Excellence, HCM Excellence Conference 2019, and Daniel's here with his team to share some of the best practices from their award-winning programs. Welcome, Daniel.
Thank you very much, and it's a pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure, and I didn't appropriately say what your title was. So your title is the Global Head of Learning and Development and Professional Development.
Yeah.
And we were just talking about why it's global.
Yeah.
Can you expand on that?
Yeah, sure. Within Shell, we have a model which is totally centralized when dealing with the development of training, new training. We went through a journey that started in 2009. And at this moment, with exception of very few areas within the company, all requests for training from any country, any of the businesses, any language, any content will come through my team for consideration and approval.
Okay.
So as you can see, it's
Right.
quite a lot of
huge effort.
Yes, a huge effort.
For your how many employees do you have now?
Well, I have 8 direct reports that take care of each part of the businesses. They establish like really a close partnership to identify needs and establish priorities. And what I consider my extended team, which in fact are our vendors,
Right.
is about 150 learning designers dedicated to the Shell account across the globe.
Across the globe.
Yeah.
That's
So that is a lot of people.
Yes.
That is a lot of people. Yeah.
and to transition from a decentralized
Yes.
model to a centralized model, you were talking about how that the consolidation of efforts, and yes, I'm sure it was challenging to go through in the beginning, but what are some of the benefits that you are seeing with this model?
I think despite the challenges at the beginning, I think the benefits really have been huge, because being centralized gives us the possibility to, first of all, have consistent way of working, set up standards of quality that we can implement across all our developments. Also to manage the budget more efficiently. My team manages the budget for design and development for the company. So,
Have you saved money?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Can you say how much?
No.
No.
No, but as you can imagine, centralizing the volume of
Sure.
work within very few and selected vendors gives us the possibility to establish better commercial conditions.
And not
yeah?
duplicate efforts.
Yeah, not
Right.
to duplicate efforts. In the past, there were like many vendors doing similar kind of services, providing different similar services with different costs and different levels of quality.
And you were a vendor to
I
the
was a vendor.
organization.
Yeah,
And
because
that's how you came to Shell. Can you tell us a little bit about that story?
Yeah, that's my journey in Shell has been very interesting, because many centuries ago I started as a learning designer for Shell, as a contractor. Yeah, I turned into a senior learning designer. Then there was a possibility to open my own company, and I was a vendor for Shell, mainly focusing on digital products, e-learnings, and things like that. And after a while, I was offered the possibility to have this role in the company.
Okay.
And this really gave me an interesting view of all the different pieces of the puzzle
Sure.
when you need to develop training courses. And so I can really speak the same language with the vendors, with the stakeholders, because I've been there.
Yes,
Yeah?
you're a good liaison.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's proven to be very effective. And as I said, For example, when talking with our vendors, we really consider ourselves as just one team.
Sure.
Yeah? We face challenges and issues together. We celebrate successes together as well. And so I think that's
and you have to be as a partner. You have to be an extension. Otherwise, it's not going to work.
Yeah. And in Shell, that's something that happens across the company
Right.
with whichever vendor we may be talking about.
Sure.
In learning, I think is very critical. And as I said, if you keep your vendors to the right number of vendors, and you can establish these really close connections and partnerships and establish a common understanding of what the company needs and what their needs are. So we have a very fluid conversation with the vendors. Yeah.
Let's talk about some of your initiatives that you have for 2019. Can you share what those look like?
I think the focus of my team for 2019, I would highlight two. There are many, but I could highlight two. One of them is going digital.
Okay.
Yeah? As much as we can. I think I'm in a privileged position with Shell. That is a company that is all about innovation. And so it's easier to go to the leadership and say, we have this crazy idea, but we think it can be really, can create a difference. One particular area is technology-based learning. We call it, in general, within Shell, simulation-based learning. That has to do with all these different formats that younger generations feel more comfortable with.
Right.
And from gaming, simulations, virtual reality, augmented reality, even cave and domes. And so we can address their preferences.
Okay.
But the way we decided to approach it was not just doing more of what we are already doing.
Right.
We identified an opportunity to treat this project as more transformational across the company. Yeah? Identifying, where we should be putting our investment, which are the best use cases, which are the best vendors in the world that can help us with this. So it's more a transformational project. The second element I would highlight would be focus on the learner. And what I mean by this is, in many instances, we talk about learning many times in a very abstract way, without realizing that behind that there is a person that will be receiving
a human being. Yes.
That will be receiving whatever we decide they should be receiving from us. So our focus is to really understand what they need to know, what they will do with the information that we provide, and how they are going to feel. And this particular area, for many years, had been somehow neglected.
Sure.
Yeah, and it's very tied to the user experience, which is a priority for us. Improving as much as possible the user experience of our participants.
Sure.
Yeah?
What are some of the tips that you have found that has helped drive that user experience?
Well, first of all, is and I can bring an example. I think there's a lot to learn from the entertainment industry or the movie industry.
Okay.
And the parallel I intend to do is, when you go to a movie, there has to be a good script.
Right.
The story needs to be clear. You need to cast the right
people,
actors. Yeah.
Yes.
And sometimes in learning, we are pretty much focused on content first, without realizing that we need a story to tell. Yeah? And we need to have the right content to support the script of that story. we need to have the right players, the vendors, yeah, and all the support from technical people and subject matter experts.
Right.
So there is some. I could say that the tip I would say is let's focus on the experience.
Absolutely.
And let's try to get away from the concept of developing courses, and let's work towards the concept of developing experiences, learning experiences.
And speaking about experience, what topics are you interested in at the conference this week, and how has your experience have been so far in the sessions that you have been in?
Well, topics I'm interested in. I'm interested in a lot of topics. I mean, you've made a very good selection.
Oh, good.
Something that has to do with simulation that is coming up today, onboarding programs that I was pretty much involved in one of the projects, metrics, how to evaluate the impact of our training. These are principally the focus of my attention. Yeah.
Oh, good. Well, we try to offer a little mix of everything, and it's hard to narrow them down. There's so many interesting initiatives going on and new technologies coming out, and we see companies are so excited about all that there is to offer, and we're here to help just kind of bring all the information together and to invite organizations and leaders like you to share and offer examples of your best practices. And you've won how many awards this year?
This year, 23 awards.
23, wow.
And 70 awards in the last 4 years.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah,
And that's also such a great source of research for us. We have the ability to share that wealth of information, so you're really doing the industry a tremendous, you're giving back so much to your industry, so you should be really proud.
Okay, thank you. And, it's always the effort of a number of people in order to get these awards. My team, learning advisors, subject matter experts, and I think that the key to the success is really be aligned. I mean, all the parties need to be aligned and striving for innovation, taking risks, because that creates a difference. Anyone can create acceptable learning interventions. Sure. But I think most companies are trying to really make a difference. Yeah, not only because the investment is a critical thing, but we need to improve the time to competence. We need to be more impactful on the bottom line. We need to have better user experience. I think many companies are in the same path, and this is what we are this is our priority at this moment.
We've also seen your team use research as a critical component of how you make your decisions, and you've been a great partner, I'd like to say, to us as well. I don't like to call you a client, I like to call you a partner, because I feel the same way, and our team does, is having that extension to our organization as a partner, as an extension to your team, not necessarily a client.
Yeah, being member of this organization, having access to all your research, really has proven to be a critical element before we make any decision and say, okay, what's going on in the industry in general? What are the learnings? So that we sometimes do not need to start from scratch and say, okay, this is a particular piece of work that is very relevant for us, and we can build on that in order to create our business cases or changes in the organization. So we need to thank you for making this information available as well.
It's nice having that sounding board at times, and it's not necessarily, we don't always want to tell you have to do it different, but sometimes just validating what you're doing and being able to, oh, let's take a look at this, and maybe just that little thing that can enhance it even better.
Yep.
Or you're doing phenomenal, great job, and everybody needs that, and especially leaders in the market. It's so competitive, and in order to stay competitive, it's making sure you have the right level of support and information, and we really appreciate your all the work that you do. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you very much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for being here.
Okay.